Welcome everyone to the OpenBazaar Dev Chat. I'm Josh Jeffries. I lead our UI team. We've got Sam, Jen, and Mike G on board. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
While we do quick intros, Mike G, I know your connection's not so good, and Sam, your voice is a little rough today, so you can have short intros.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Greenberg. I work on the back end, which allows all of the OpenBazaar database to work. Apologies for the poor connection on my side.
I'm Sam Patterson. I'm one of the co-founders of OB1, a company leading development of OpenBazaar. And I normally head up this call, but I've got a cold, and I appreciate Josh stepping in to do that. Most recently, I've been working on making sure that privacy is at the core of what we're doing, both for OpenBazaar and for the Haven application. So if anyone has questions about the privacy side of it, please reach out to me. Happy to talk about that. Yeah, Jen is doing the recording, so she won't be able to.
Oh, is she unable to talk?
Yeah, but she's the director of marketing and communications, and wears a lot of hats. So she's also a great person to talk to about really any aspects of the project if you're interested in learning more about it.
That is true. Thank you, Sam. All right, so on to the talk. The biggest development recently is we are testing a new release, 2.3.4. This release is primarily a bug fix to address a very serious problem that has been affecting several of our users. There is a known bug where you can end up with a bad key that prevents publishing. Unfortunately, once that happens, publishing is stuck and you can't update any of your data anymore. So obviously that's a critical issue, and we are working very rapidly to get a fix out. Like I said, it is in testing now. If you go to our desktop repo, you can download it if you want to help us test. We would love that. There's also a release testing channel in our public Slack where you can go to report any issues you have with a release. Give me a sec, I'll post a link. Oh, Sam posted a link to the general releases. Specifically, the release candidate is this link right here. So that should work, though obviously you should always back up your data when using a test release before you try it, just in case. And any help we can get there, we would love to have it. As far as what does this release do, other than the publishing fix, there are a few other minor changes to it. One big change is we have taken out the notifications for when you are added as a moderator. That is something that we had unintended consequences. Moderators were starting to complain that they were getting flooded with messages that people added them. And we realized that wasn't a super useful message in the first place, so we've just taken it out. Other than that, there's a few other kind of invisible fixes to things. Things like the server now handles the rotation in EXIF data on its own. The desktop client currently handles that. But for other clients like the Haven client, which is on the verge of launching, we realized it was just better to do it on the back end than to make every client implement it on its own. If you are interested in developing an OpenBazaar client, that also makes it easier on you, so you don't have to have your client handle that part of it. Other than that, there are some other kind of very specific little bug fixes included in here. I won't go through all of them. Some are for supporting the mobile launch. Others are just in general. They don't really affect the user experience a whole lot. So that's where we're at with 2.3.4. Our goal is to have that launched very soon, possibly early next week, if the release candidate testing goes well today. So keep an eye out. When it is released, it will be an automatic download as normal if you're using the bundled app. If you're not, you'll have to do it manually. Other than 2.3.4, well, actually, let me stop and ask, are there any questions about 2.3.4 while we're on the topic?
One thing I'd jump in and clarify, Josh. In the past, we've talked about the 2.3.4 being the Ethereum update, because that's what the plan was. But that will now be in the next update, not this release.
Right, that's a good point. And we haven't settled on exactly what the number for Ethereum will be. It may be 2.4 or maybe 2.3.5. It's a fairly substantial change, so it'll probably get a larger number. That is ongoing since you introduced that, Sam. We are working on it. It's obviously a significant change to how the system works, so there's a lot of work that goes into that. But we're all very excited, and we're getting pretty close to including that. Any questions on either 2.3.4 or the Ethereum update? And you can ask them out loud or in the chat. So the other thing is Haven. That's our new mobile app, which will be available in the iOS and Android app stores. It's currently been accepted by both. So all that is left is finishing it. Right now it's functional. We are still doing some final bug testing and fixing, polishing things up. We do have a beta program. You can talk to Jen if you're interested in that. Keep an eye out. I can't give you an exact date, but we are very close. And we are super excited to get that in people's hands in the very near future. Other than that, there are a few other small projects and news pieces that we can talk about. We've had some neat work being done on a Monero proof of concept. So someone has added a PR that would allow the server to support Monero, which is pretty cool. That I don't know that that's finished. Mike G, is that actually? I don't think that's usable. That's just a proof of concept, correct?
So the proof of concept does make real transactions on Monero. It does require an external node that provides an RPC interface for the server to talk to. But it's entirely as if it were built in normally into the server. There's an issue that I'm looking for right now that I'll paste into the chat that anyone can use to try it out themselves if they were motivated to.
Thanks, Mike. So that's kind of something that's ongoing. We think it'd be really cool to integrate Monero. We, the OB1 team, don't really have the bandwidth to do it ourselves right now. So outside contributors who are interested, please jump in there or spread the word to see if anybody else would be interested in helping out with that. We've also had two of our team members, Mike G and Chris Basia, who is not on the call, come back from IPFS camp, which was very cool. They talked directly to the IPFS team, which obviously we use IPFS. And we're always looking for tighter integration with their team. We've opened several conversations with them on how we can help each other to make OpenBazaar work better, as well as IPFS, the project, work better. No direct news out of that, other than it's great, and tighter integration with their team is coming. Okay, that's all I've got in my notes. Anything I missed, Sam, Mike, Jen?
I know that there's been a lot of infrastructure work on the OB1 side.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, a big thing that we've done recently is automated our blockbook updates and the server health checks. So there was, or rather, let me explain that OpenBazaar, ever since we added the multi-wallet, has used a blockbook server to handle transactions. And Obviously, those servers, if they go down, things stop working. And so we have done some big improvements to make sure that those stay up and stay updated. We did that after hitting some hiccups. I don't think it disrupted things too much, but there were a few moments where OpenBazaar wasn't working so hot because one or more server was down. So that's been taken care of and it's working amazing. All credit to Tyler and Stevie, our infrastructure guys. And beyond that, the infrastructure team is very busy improving other things for the Haven launch. The way social posts, which are only available on Haven, work. Improvements to search, posting, social interactions like liking things. All of that is coming in Haven, which is really exciting. And then depending on how that goes, it may make its way back to the desktop app. We haven't decided yet. That's all I've got for infrastructure.
I know there hasn't been a lot of new work done on the web buying stuff, but could you briefly explain like where we're at on that?
Sure, that continues. We have run into some snags with offline messaging, which we are working directly with the IPFS team to resolve. Messaging is kind of core to the whole thing. Since when I say messaging, I don't mean just literal text messages, but rather the messages that nodes send to each other, which are used for everything, orders, communication, chat, etc. Once we get past that, which we believe we're very close, that will open the door to getting buying working, which is our next step. Currently, we have chat working most of the way from the web between two web nodes or a web node and a desktop node. I don't think we've tested it, but it should also work with a Haven node. So once that's completely working and all offline messages and everything else work perfectly, then we'll immediately start working on buying, which is kind of the big, crown jewel of getting a web version of OpenBazaar working. So that, I don't want to undersell the amount of work that's involved there. Getting something like OpenBazaar working on a web page where you don't have direct control over your system, you don't have like a real database, you don't have your own server. Doing all of that is an immense amount of work. Rob Mazurowski, one of our UI guys, is working on that, and he's doing amazing work there. And we couldn't be more proud of him. Hopefully, we will have something out that the public can see. I'm going to say this year. I don't want to promise anything more specific, just because it is such an immense amount of work. But it is progressing, and every week we're making more progress and getting closer to having something that can go into at least an alpha release.
Yeah, thanks for that update, Josh. And we've talked about this in past meetings, but this is based on JS IPFS, which has not gotten as much focus from the Protocol Labs team as the core Go implementation. So we're kind of building the web buying on top of something that's definitely just very, very new and being built simultaneously. So that's whenever that happens, that's challenging. But as Josh points out, there has been some progress, and we're excited to put it in front of people once it's at the point where it's ready for testing.
Right. Yeah. Not that this is an excuse, but we should point out that IPFS.js is a moving target. They're actively working on it. We didn't feel like we could wait for them to perfect it before we start our work. However, that does come with a cost that pretty so often they update it and change a bunch of stuff. and suddenly our code doesn't work anymore. So it's challenging, but we're plowing ahead despite that and working with them to make sure that changes that they make work for us and that we understand what's coming down the pipe. Okay, anything else that I'm not remembering? Sam, Mike, Jen. Otherwise, I think we can throw things open to questions.
Yeah, questions or comments, anyone audio or chat, this is, feel free to just jump in and tell us what you've been working on, or let us know if you have any questions.
Privacy with Blockbook. And Jim, listings load fast, but vendors do not. So I can talk about, let's answer Jim first. Listings load fast because we have made a change, or we did make a change a while back, where listings can load directly from their IPFS hash, but we have not implemented that for profiles. So profiles are still an IPNS lookup, which takes longer. It's kind of like a DNS lookup where you've got to go find the hash that belongs to that particular user based on their peer ID. We know that can take a while. We are working on multiple things to fix that. One of them is an infrastructure piece we call the IPNS ingestion endpoint, which essentially is a service that we run where people publish their peer ID and hash to our database, and then we allow nodes to look that up first before they go to IPNS to find it. When that's working, which it's still in testing right now, but when it works, it's amazing. It makes things super fast because your node can just say, "Hey, endpoint, what's the hash of this user?" It sends it back very quickly, and then you load their data directly from that hash. So it's coming, just not there yet. But I would guess in the next release or two, we would include that in the desktop client. The Haven client should have it at launch. You're welcome, Jim. And so, privacy with Blockbook. So that is a concern, and we are very conscious of that. It does collect data, but we don't do anything with any data that could be attributed to you. Obviously, just inherently, we do know about all the transactions because otherwise Blockbook wouldn't work. Those aren't, none of those transactions are recorded, to my knowledge, with data that could be connected to show that they're coming from you specifically.
Yeah, I'll just jump in, Josh. That's correct. We just delete that information. However, the bigger issue is that requires trust in OB1, and we recognize that that's not the ideal setup. This is something I've been working a lot on, especially in the context of Haven, because Haven does have a few of those points where OB1 is more or less running centralized architecture. So I'm happy to talk through the details about how we're ensuring we give people privacy. Your last question though is being able to connect to like a Bitcoin full node. Maybe Mike can jump in on that, but I believe that you can run a block.
You can run a block
server, which is a Bitcoin, or any coin full node, and direct your stuff to that. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, that's true. You can run Blockbook locally, but I can also say that we still have the SPV implementations for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash still built into the server. And if you wanted to connect to if you want to just use this SPV implementation, you can configure it in your server config by changing where it says API to SPV. And it should be seamless, although we haven't tested the SPV implementation in this last release or so. It working as of 2.3.0. The other thing that I'll say with regard to upload filter, it's something that Chris and I had briefly talked about when we were coming out with the API server, and that's something that we will probably revisit later on once things start to calm down from all of this other work that we're focused on. But hopefully the SPV solution helps in the short term.
Yeah, I would generally say the simplest way to do it would be to run your own Blockbook server. It's an open source server. You can get the code. It's relatively easy to run. It's not, press a button and it happens, but if you know a bit about running servers, you probably could do it. And then it's just a matter of changing your config to point at that server instead of ours. Or if someone wanted to run a Blockbook server as a service, they certainly could do that. We don't do anything special to it, and we don't have a fork or anything of Blockbook. It's just the out-of-the-box Blockbook server. So if you want to go get one and run one and tell people they can use yours, you can certainly do that. All right, Alexander, you're next up. Thank you for waiting for your turn.
All right, thank you so much. First off, I just want to thank you guys. I mean, your software and what your application, I should say, is incredible. I own Digital World Exchange, and I've been trying to implement a marketplace and exchange together, but I'm all about the decentralization. With everything crazy going on in the crypto community, it's security and privacy are my main concerns. I've had my ups and downs, just like I think every company. I was one of the lucky ones that got in Bitcoin early, and what I'm doing is utilizing a lot of the profits that I personally made and regrouping it into a company. But when I first saw your application, I was just blown away. What you guys are doing is just absolutely mind-blowing for me. The amount of work and the amount of code I saw, I'm just so impressed. And, I wanted to be a part of it. I really didn't know how yet. And I just wanted to be a part of this call because, I've been kind of watching you progress over the past couple months. And it's been very fascinating to see how your operation is growing. But again, it's hard to be a centralized company and then also figure out how to implement into a decentralized community. Being in an exchange, we had a lot of issues. I've spent so much time and money in helping community and users. I'm also sick, by the way, so I don't know who mentioned that they were sick. I have a son in daycare who got me sick, so if I'm talking funny, please forgive me.
No worries.
But what I'm hearing is you're implementing some and extra coins and the marketplace itself. I wanted to know a little bit about your community or your user base, because what I'd like to do is bring my community on, which we're on Telegram 15,000 something, and then on top of that, our exchange user base is about 100,000, and we are down right now because we're doing upgrades to our wallet systems. We had an issue with Omni Wallet, and since we're centralized exchange, we were going to run into so many more issues. Unfortunately, the way of the world, I guess. But what I wanted to see is how we could collaborate and find a way to make both of our worlds work, if that's a possibility. Maybe 6 months, a year down the road. I know that you're working on the web application,
Mhm.
um, and just trying to get my community a little bit about me. I bailed out a lot of people in those Ponzi schemes. I funded them fully with, they had to go through a process and show us what had happened, and we had to go through moderation and figure all that out, and then we funded them with our coin. Um, I put about $14 million into what I did just to help people, and also that's not personal money. That's profits that I made off of Bitcoin from 2012, 13, 14. Because I'm all about the open source and decentralization of crypto. Well, you can call it a cryptocurrency, but I mean just a network, I guess you could say. So I think you are the only one that I've seen that I can honestly say that I'm blown away by. And I'd like to be a part of it somehow. I don't know how yet.
All right. Well,
Okay.
thanks for that background, Alexander. What is it you need from a technical level? You're talking about bringing your people onto the platform. Like, what do your users need the platform to be able to do that OpenBazaar can't do now, or can it? And it's just a question of how best to bring them on the platform.
So basically, you guys have done everything that I've wanted to do for the past year. You're a marketplace, and that, the whole reason why I believe cryptocurrency will succeed is because you can use it for a marketplace services rendered. You can pay people directly. There's no hand in the cookie jar, middleman, no banks. It's instant transactions. Our coin is instant transaction. It's based off of Pivx and Dash. It's forked off of that and Bitcoin. So you can look it up. It's on GitHub. It's open source. But what I was trying to implement was a marketplace, and a safe, just like what you're doing. But I am nowhere near your level for this. I've been stuck on the exchange portion of it for the past like 6 months. And it's completed. I'm replacing the Omni wallet with BitGo wallet currently because I was running my own nodes, but it got quite expensive for me to handle all the nodes I was running. But so what my point is with the marketplace that you guys run, I would love to have my users be able to utilize and create their own pages and have a marketplace and service, and because I mean my users go from Australia, UK, America, and I mean it's our user base is so vast. It's actually pretty impressive, but I'm not too impressed with what we have developed, so I'm kind of planning a different roadmap for the marketplace. And if we can collaborate with you, I think that would solve a lot of the issues that we're having.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
We're always open to collaboration. What's preventing your users from using OpenBazaar right now?
Just me saying, that everything's a go, and also our coin. They would like to use our coin because, as a currency, I guess you can call it. But what you guys have built is completely safe. It's exactly what the world needs. It's a decentralized marketplace, and I mean, there's always going to be people selling silly stuff and doing nonsense, but what you have with the moderation and the mediators and I'm sorry, not moderation, mediators and everything that you have going on is exactly how it's supposed to be. And I just wish that I could easily just be like, okay, if you're selling a service product, go to OpenBazaar, and this is the link, and you can download it, and they'll have a web application soon, or not a web app, I'm sorry, a website soon, and we can just link to that and just say marketplace, and then there you go. Because my goal is not to make money on this. It's my goal is to make a community and involve my community. I know a lot of people are trying to make percentages, like 5% off of a sale or this or that. That's not my goal. My goal is to have users be able to purchase products and have them actually come. I have personally have lost so much money purchasing on marketplaces with Bitcoin. I send the Bitcoin and nothing ever comes. So that was, sorry, my son.
That's all right. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Alexander, for giving us that information. My suggestion moving forward, and perhaps you're already in there, is to join our Slack community. That's where a lot of the discussion happens in terms of like coordinating for community things. So definitely join that. You can find a link to join that. Well, I'll post it in the chat, but it's also in the main OpenBazaar page.
Yeah, that would be great because I think I requested an invite, but I never got invited a little bit. But that's nobody's fault. I'm sure you have so many requests.
Yeah, we can follow up on that. Make sure you
Yeah,
get in.
for sure.
The other thing would be, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you would like is your coin to be one that can be used in OpenBazaar.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
a Dash-based coin.
Yeah, so it's Dash and Pivot. So it's forked off. Here, let me send you the repo.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, the biggest challenge there would be Blockbook not supporting it.
Okay.
Since we use Blockbook, I'm not going to go way down the rabbit holes ways to deal with that. But the TLDR is if you wanted to put resources towards forking Blockbook to support your coin, that'd be one answer. Another answer is an SPV or other wallet implementation that we could add to OpenBazaar that would support your coin.
Okay.
Similar to the Monero integration that someone's working on. OpenBazaar is intended to be coin agnostic. It's just there's these non-trivial amount of work that goes into building a coin implementation in OpenBazaar. So if people put the effort in to building, a plugin or an ability to use a particular coin, we are always open to looking at that. And so long as it's something that's not going to be, disruptive to what we've done before, we're always interested in knowing. So if you have a new coin that we think would benefit the community, and you have engineers that can offer a PR that is high quality code, then that's certainly something we would look at.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. My goal is basically just to keep my community safe. I kind of failed at that with Omni Wallet. There was a private key issue. I took about a $400,000 hit, which I funded back myself. But with my main goal was the marketplace anyway. The exchanges. I mean, there's a new exchange popping up like every day. So what I'm trying to plan out is a way for my users to just link from our website to go to a company like yours and just automatically get started and be able to accept DWE or whatever. It was mainly just a way for them to trade out if they wanted to trade out.
Alexandra, a quick question for you. Is this coin listed on exchanges?
Yeah, so we are listed on Adobe Exchange currently, and I cannot pronounce.
Okay, the reason I ask is I forget. I think we use the CoinMarketCap API, but we use an API to bring in so you can get prices to buy and sell crypto within the app itself. So even though your coin might not make it into the application in terms of like being able to be used for actual purchases or sales, and I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm just saying in that scenario where you don't have the resources or we choose not to implement it, if it has exchanged data from the APIs that we use to populate it, then people can buy and sell the coin itself within OpenBazaar. I don't know if you've if you've bought or sold any crypto within OpenBazaar itself. but that's possible to do too. So just as kind of an FYI, like if that information is in a price API, then even if people can't actually use the coin to buy and sell stuff directly, they can buy and sell the coin, which is one extra step for people being able to use a marketplace with the coin.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to briefly just introduce myself. I mean, I'm planning on being in it for the long run, so I, anything that we could do to be a part of this, and anything that you could do to help. I mean, I really would love that. I think that you guys are really onto something, something big.
Well, that's great to hear. I always love hearing people who look over the code base and have positive things to say. So that's awesome.
Yeah, let's make sure we talk more, because we would love help from anyone.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave my email for you too. Here. And
okay, I'll double check that the Slack requests and make sure you're in there as well. Rod from Zocos, I know you've been waiting patiently as well. Thank you. I'd like to hear what's going on with Zocos.
Okay, so can everyone hear me?
You're a little choppy.
Okay. So for those who don't know, I'm Rod, and I work on Zocos.com, which provides hosted, or if you want to use the dirty word, custodial solutions for vendors who aren't accustomed to or don't want to handle their own keys yet. So what we're doing, we're kind of just building lifeboats for those who are currently selling on things like Amazon, eBay, Etsy, making their livings there right now and want to sell on OpenBazaar, but haven't really been able to easily move over something like thousands of listings that they currently sell on those platforms. So an update for what we've done on this month. Last month we added escrow, and we've been kind of working on the rollout for that. So far we haven't seen any issues, and the rollout has gone well so far. Sorry, that is my cat. What we're doing this month is that we've been working on importing stores directly from platforms like Shopify, eBay, Etsy, Amazon, etc. We're basically done with that right now. We're just going through the testing phase, and hopefully by the end of this month, people will be able to basically just upload a CSV directly from their eBay, Etsy, or whatever store, and have the thousands of listings show up on OpenBazaar in like a minute. And that's all the updates for this month.
That is epic. I'm very glad to hear that, Rod. We've talked about and put a little bit of effort into various import tools for different marketplaces in the past, but never put a lot of effort into it for various reasons. But I'm stoked to see someone else doing that, so that's great to hear. All right, were there any other questions or comments from anyone? Feel free to put them in the chat again, or just jump in if you've got a mic.
Yeah, this is Chris Troutner. I've been playing with Haven. Love it. You guys are doing great work. Keep it up.
I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah, actually, I don't think there's any problem. This is, a pretty small group of people, and you're all devoted to, using OpenBazaar if you're here. So I think it's fine for us to say that if you guys want a beta invite for Haven, either iOS or beta or Android, please reach out to anyone on this call, and we can get you into the beta if you want to test Haven out. Josh, are you there? It looked like you were trying to.
I know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, a little glitch there with our software. Apparently, I was muted, and yet it said I was not muted. Actually, I just had a question for Rod, actually, about your importer. One of the things we ran into when we were building an importer is the challenge of making it two-way. If you're primarily an Etsy seller, you control your inventory there, and that becomes a problem if you're selling the exact same listing somewhere else, and you have to manage inventory in two places. Have you put any thought into making it feedback in both directions?
So right now, we've only been looking at the import feature so far. We haven't looked at the export feature, but what problems did you run into that were specifically hard about the export feature?
Mostly it was just a question of having to build out for every API that we wanted to support, and the amount of work involved.
Yeah, so obviously we want to support that feature to allow people to kind of update all their stores at once. But I think that will definitely come in another month. The first month is just going to be focused completely on imports because you're right, it's just building it twice basically to support exports.
Okay, and another question, are you using the CSV import API to do this, or something else?
So yeah, all the major marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, everything uses CSV exports. So basically we're just taking that CSV sheet, reading it for all the standard data and importing that directly into OpenBazaar's API.
Okay, when you import it, are you using the secret and not documented OpenBazaar CSV import API is what I'm asking?
No, we're using direct product imports.
Okay, good. Because we're actually planning to take that out because we haven't maintained it and we don't even know if it works anymore.
Yeah, and something that Mike said, I hadn't really thought about that. I mean, I use the direct API, so there's no reason this shouldn't work with the actual, regular desktop client. So I'll look into making a pull request to support it for both as well.
Okay.
That would be excellent. I would very much appreciate it if you do that.
Cool, thank you. Does anyone else have questions? Anyone I missed in the chat? Don't see anything else. In that case, sounds like we're at the end of the call. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'd love to see you again next time.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and feel free to keep the conversation going on Slack as well.
Yeah, we're always reachable on Slack. So thank you, everyone.